In this second video we're going to have a look at the oscillator section in a little more depth. At the moment, as you can see, I have the default pulse to saw option loaded, and if I wanted to change that I could do so by clicking in this drop down tab and bringing up any one of these various different presets. As I scroll through these presets you'll see that we have a few different parameters available to us at any one time. Something that's common to all of these is the amp, which is self-explanatory, and this ratio. And if I was to just adjust this ratio parameter, then hopefully by now you'll recognize that as being the harmonic series. So what this is enabling us to do is adjust the frequency of the oscillator in harmonic multiples, which is obviously particularly important when we are offsetting the frequency of one oscillator against another. Although we'll see that sometimes we can have this offset within one oscillator. So if I was to choose duo saw, for instance, what duo saw is now doing is giving me two sawtooth waves within the signal, and you can see here I have ratio 2. So what I'm doing now is adjusting the ratio of the second sawtooth wave, and you can see on the display here the partials that are being transposed. What we also have here is the beatings parameter, and what this will introduce is a kind of detuning quality into the sound. So quite quickly we're able to come up with some detuned or stacked analog type of sound. And this could be quite nice for analog emulations and pads and so on. But what we'll also see is some other options inside here which take us quite quickly away from those types of sounds. So for instance, if I was to select the formant option here, then with this option selected and this field all the way to the left, we have something which is fairly standard. And as I adjust this formant parameter, you can see the way the distribution of the partials is changed through the frequency spectrum. And what a formant filter is generally designed to do, or in this case a formant oscillator, is emulate the sound of a human voice or vowel sounds by introducing spectral peaks and resonances into the sound. And at the moment with this parameter what we're doing is transposing those peaks and troughs through the frequency spectrum. And if we wanted to assign modulation to this, then quite simply we would click in the tab, choose the parameter that we wanted, so in this case LFO1, and then define our mod range. Let's just slow that down. If I take the LFO off beat and put it instead onto hertz, then as you see I have some much more slow and subtle modulation speeds. What I also have here is the select option, and this will give me various different preset formant characteristics. Although as you can see each one of those at the moment has the modulation that we've already assigned. Let's have a look at something else on our second oscillator here. So I'm going to turn that first one off, turn the second one on, and we have some other quite interesting options here such as primes, which I'm going to select. And what primes will do is adjust the proportion in the sound of partials which are made up of either prime numbers or non-prime numbers, which is quite an interesting idea. So with this amount parameter in the middle and the ratio all the way down, then I'm back to just a regular sawtooth wave, and adjusting either left or right, give me my prime numbers, non-prime numbers, and what I can do is transpose again, if we just wanted to introduce a little subtle movement into the sound, I could do that by selecting envelope 2, for instance, assigning my range and my speed. Now let's reintroduce oscillator 1. And if we have a look at the main output now, we can see the internal movement which has been generated in this sound. I'm thinking that this might be better as a monophonic sound, so what I'm going to do is take this poly option off, switch to mono, and what I'm also going to do is introduce a little bit of glide into the signal. So you can hear I have pitch bend between notes. And also having a look over here at this master section, what I'd like to do is, with this polyphonic sound, give it a slightly bigger bottom end characteristic. So what I'm going to do is turn on this safe bass. And you can see when I do that, we have a fuller bottom end. What this is doing is introducing just the lower partials of the sound and making sure that they're not going to be processed through our effects, which we're going to come on to have a look at in the next section. So in that next video, we'll have a look at the filters and the effects using this sound as a basis.